plenty of time to cover any other topics you'd like. Also, today is going to be about StayFi Express. So it's going to be about one of the newer hardware products we have here at StayFi. We have done a session on StayFi Express before, so this might be old information for some of you, so feel free, you don't need to stay, but I think this is a very interesting product that has a lot of value. If you are growing, have an installed StayFi on all your properties, this might be a less expensive way to add StayFi to more of your homes and to get better Wi-Fi coverage. So I will go through what StayFi Express is, how it works, and why it can be a great solution in many different scenarios. So I'll go over StayFi Express, how it works, what devices it works with, the benefits, the role, kind of what are the slight differences between Express and UniFi. If you're using UniFi, we can cover that too, and then do a little case study. And then, as I said, we'll have plenty of times for Q&A. Yeah, so what is StayFi Express? So basically, as you guys probably know if you've been using StayFi for a while, when we launched StayFi, we were compatible with one line of hardware called Ubiquiti UniFi, and we sold that hardware to our customers as well as connected to existing UniFi setups. With UniFi, typically, if you are buying UniFi for a property, it plugs into your router and it broadcasts a new Wi-Fi network for guests in the home that you use to get the captive portal. StayFi Express is a new way to set up captive portals or splash pages in homes. And what StayFi Express does is it leverages the Wi-Fi system you already have to broadcast that captive portal. So with StayFi Express, you add this piece of hardware, it connects to your existing router, and it will turn the network that your router is already broadcasting into the one with the captive portal so that you can collect data without having to get all new Wi-Fi equipment for your property. So with StayFi Express, you can do guest data capture, email verification, you can get the homepage and integrated upsells, you can still do email marketing, SMS marketing, and you can still manage all your Wi-Fi remotely and get occupancy monitoring. So essentially, all of the features are exactly the same as the Ubiquiti UniFi products that we've been using for a long time, except that we're leveraging your existing Wi-Fi equipment to broadcast the network. So what types of equipment does StayFi Express work with? These are the main ones, and I'll show you the next slide of all of the different systems, as there's a ton that it will work with. The main ones we come across are Amazon Eero and TP-Link Deco. We also do work with other TP-Link products like Omada or Archer, as well as some other equipment from Aruba. And so if you have this equipment in your properties, it is often the best way to get set up with StayFi is to use StayFi Express, and it will be a cheaper way to leverage your existing equipment to launch the compatible Wi-Fi network. Here is a more comprehensive view of all the different equipment that StayFi Express works in. We are always looking for new devices to test. And as you guys probably can guess, there is a ton of different Wi-Fi equipment out in the world. And so a lot of these are ones that we found out later or worked with our customers to get it to work. So the most common devices Express works with are Eeros and Decos. But like I said before, it works with other TP-Link lines. So that would be Omada, and then TP-Link Archer is also very common in homes. It works with Aruba. There's a different way to also set up UniFi with StayFi Express, but in most cases, we directly integrate with your UniFi system. And then here are some less common routers that it works with from Synology, Ruckus, Quantum Fiber. So if you have Quantum as your ISP, it'll work with that. It also works with Plume, and it also works with the Asus RT series. If you don't see the hardware line here, please email support@stayfi.com and let them know the equipment that you have today. Because if it's equipment that we have not tested StayFi Express with, we are more than happy to send you a StayFi Express, test it with that hardware, and then if it doesn't work, we can always send it back to get a refund. So if you do have some Wi-Fi equipment that's not listed here, please let us know, and we can try to see if we haven't tested it already, if StayFi Express will work. And then of course, if we have tested it, we will let you know that StayFi Express doesn't work there. I will paste into the chat. There's a knowledge base article here with all of the different more detail on which devices we work with. So here you can take a look at this and uh, see whether your devices are here. Some common devices that StayFi Express does not work with that we know about would be the Google Mesh system, as well as the Orbi system. So we're still working on a way to make it work with Google Mesh and Orbi. So hopefully we can cover those in the future. But for now, we know that those don't work. And those are pretty much the other major mesh systems we come across where unfortunately StayFi Express does not work today. So kind of the general process for how Express works is first you connect the little device we send you to the main router. So often in these systems, right, you have an Eero or multiple Eero mesh points throughout the home. We connect the StayFi Express to the main router. Then I'll show you on the next slide, depending on the device you have, the configuration process can be a little bit different. But there is a process by which we have to configure the router to work with StayFi Express. So if you have an Eero or a Deco, it's important that you or someone on your team has access to the app that manages it. I know that can be challenging if you work with homeowners, right? Because maybe the homeowners have not shared access to their Eero controls or their Deco controls. That is one thing that you will need to get before we can do the configuration, because we have to change settings on your Eero, Deco, or other router in order to make this work. Once we've changed those settings, then the setup is just like Unify access points. You assign the device to a property, and that's how we know which property your guest stayed in, how we know which splash page and home page to stay in to display. And then finally, one difference is you don't have to tell guests new instructions to join the Wi-Fi since we're leveraging the network that's already there, and you can have a password or not have a password. So again, totally up to you. Now, with the two most common devices that we see Express with, Eero and Deco, there is a in-app setup process that we guide you through. I am going to be transparent. There are many, many steps as we have to basically connect your StayFi Express, which reserve what's called a permanent IP in your Deco or Eero app. And then we have to change the DNS settings on your Deco or Eero. So this does take some time, maybe 10 to 20 minutes. Once you do it once, it will go a lot faster. If you have a different device, so one of the other ones on that screen that are less common, then you still need to schedule a call with our team. And when you go and to set up your StayFi Express in your StayFi portal, it will ask you, do you have an Eero, a Deco, or something else? And if you have something else, it will give you the option to schedule a setup call with our support team. You can also see down below here, there's always an opportunity to schedule a call with support. Support's been pretty busy with these calls, so it may take a few days. So if you know that you're going to be in the property in a few days to set this up, I would go into the setup process now if you need a call and schedule it as soon as possible. And that way, when you're in the property, you have a call set up with their team to go through the setup process, particularly if it's not an Eero or Deco system, as you will need to do the call with us to set up the device. And then, of course, if you don't have compatible hardware, you can always use Unify access points. And then we ship those to you and you plug them into the router and they broadcast to your network. And you have to do mesh. You can set up multiple ones. We do have customers, I'm going to talk about in a second, that find that even though they haven't set up a Wi-Fi system, they prefer setting up an Eero or a Deco. Those devices, if you go on Amazon, are cheaper than the Ubiquiti equipment. So you can buy like a three unit setup for Eero for like $150, which is going to be cheaper than the Unify equipment. So we do find that customers now are purchasing Eeros or Decos, getting a StayFi Express from us, and then setting that up in the property. Obviously, you have to go get the Eeros and TP links away from Amazon, get the Express from us. But that is an option if you don't want to spend the money on the Ubiquiti equipment. You can go get these devices yourself and Express from us, which is $89, and set up a whole new mesh system in your property. So that's definitely possible if you want to save some money and set up StayFi in a way that's going to give you one of these consumer mesh systems. Totally possible to do that as well. There are also, as you probably saw in this previous slide, we do work with TP-Link Omada and Ruckus and Aruba. These are systems you typically find in a hotel or in a motel conversion. So if that is something that you operate, like you operate in this giant multifamily building and it has this equipment in it, should be kind of common in those scenarios. We sell kind of a more beefed up version of StayFi Express called StayFi Express Enterprise that we can also get for you. And that can work if you have like 50 of these ruckus access points in a building. It's going to take a slightly more robust StayFi Express device. We call that StayFi Express Enterprise. And then we can also work with you to do that as well. The benefits of StayFi Express, one is obviously you're still getting the guest data capture, homepage guest engagement, just like you would with the Unify devices we've sold for a long time. What's great is you only need one device per property. So you don't need to buy three Unify access points. You can buy one Express. It's also more efficient on the StayFi subscription standpoint because we charge per access point, but we also charge per Express. So if you have 3 euros in a home and one StayFi Express, that counts as one StayFi subscription. So we'll save you money both on the hardware side and subscription side if Express works in your particular units. And then, of course, the device is $89. So even an Express plus a an Amazon Eero or a TP-Link Deco can be cheaper. There are a lot of different Eero and Deco models and setups. Some are very inexpensive, some are expensive. But the cheapest ones, you can get 3 or 4 units for, 100 or so dollars. And that can be a great way to set up a mesh Wi-Fi network over 3, 4, 5,000 square feet, get an Express and set up StayFi in a property that way. Again, you get all the same benefits as we had before with the Unify equipment. So we'll collect gas data from everybody. They all get sent to the home page, which of course you can configure to have upsells from our partners like the Hostco or Viator or your own. And then you can remarket to those guests with email and text. And you can also do those in an automated fashion. So I know a big one that a lot of people have success with is sending Wi-Fi login and then post-departure emails. And that can be a great way to engage guests automatically with every single stay to make sure they know your brand and rebook with you again. This is just a testimonial from one of our beta customers who used Express before it was publicly launched. And they were just saying that the setup process is easy. It's even easier now because when we launched, we didn't have the ability for you to set up StayFi Express with Eros and Decos in the app. But now those setup flows are set up. I will just remind everyone again, when you're doing this setup, you will need access to the Eero Deco, or if it is a third-party device that you have to set up a call for, you do need access to the app or tool that is managing that device because we do have to change those settings. So that's something to keep in mind if you are working with owners and you need to gain access to their Eero or Deco apps, for instance. Now to show you in the store, when you go to the StayFi store, you'll see that we have kind of this new UI here. If you haven't been here for a while, this has also been updated. So you can see here, I use Eero, Deco, Amato, or Aruba, and then I don't. So if you go to here, this is going to take you to the Express side, and then you can purchase the Express for $89, and then you get that shipped to you, and then go through the setup process for Express. Great. So now I already saw we had some questions, so I will definitely start going through those. I'll do the Express ones first, and then I saw some other questions, so I'll go do those as well. Um, Someone asked if you have compatible hardware, should we switch to the StayFi Express from the old StayFi Hub? I would say, unless if you really want to, I don't see any reason that you necessarily need to do that. I definitely, the Ubiquiti equipment, we still sell it. It still looks great. So if you have that today, that's still a great solution. So I don't see any reason why you would need to switch. I say keep this in mind just for future properties. If you do have compatible hardware, it will be a cheaper and easier way into getting the equipment. Yeah, someone asked about Samsung Galaxy phones for logging into StayFi. with StayFi Express. That was an issue at the beginning. We've worked to resolve that particular issue. There was some issues with certain devices not getting the splash page on Express that were getting it through the traditional UniFi equipment. We've been working through those bugs, and I believe that one's been taken care of. Obviously, if you find that there's a certain device where the splash page doesn't work, always let us know because there are a ton of devices out there, right? And we can't possibly test it with every single one. So we definitely are, always looking to hear from our customers if they do discover anything that has an issue. Someone said they heard from an operator that SafePay has been difficult for guests to log onto the internet. I would say that's definitely the opposite from what most of our customers tell us. And most of our customers say that they get many fewer Wi-Fi related calls. I will say that can be a complex issue to troubleshoot sometimes because we're obviously always dependent on the underlying internet service as well, right? So it can be challenging to know if like it's a StayFi issue or the underlying ISP. Maybe you have to restart their router for the internet to work again, just like I'm sure you've all experienced that in your own home, where you have to, power cycle the router when it's not assigning IP addresses or something's going wrong there, right? I definitely would encourage them to reach out to us if that's been an issue for them, because there's a lot we can do to look on the devices to see why it may not be working in their case. Like we have extensive logs on all devices, Express, not Express, where we see every piece of activity, every device that's attempted to connect, whether they got the splash page, whether they were authenticated, right? So there's a ton that we can do on the back end to figure out why there might be an issue in a particular case or a particular set of hardware or equipment. So definitely would love to hear from anybody that's having an issue because if we find a bug or a problem, if we fix it for you, it obviously will help everybody else. Um, Someone asked about a Wi-Fi bridge. Can I use my existing setup with the old StayFi router or only buy the StayFi Express? So when it comes to Wi-Fi bridges, typically you have a bridge, and then the bridge is connected to like an access point at the other end, or like a router at the other end. So you can set up a Wi-Fi bridge that you buy on Amazon, and then use a unified access point, like the ones that we sell at the other end, to broadcast the internet, right? Obviously, if you have more specific questions or want to show us like what type of hardware you're using, definitely email support@stayfi.com because maybe you have a bridge that's also combined with an access point, right? I haven't seen that, but maybe that exists. So we just want to, we can definitely confirm based on what you send us what the right option is. But typically, the bridges are not actually broadcasting Wi-Fi as well. And then you can connect any type of device at the end of the bridge. So you could connect an Amazon Eero and then use that with StayFi Express, or you can connect a unified access point and that will broadcast the network like it would normally with StayFi in the main property as well. Then I got some more email related questions, which I'm definitely happy to go through. And then someone else just mentioned Unified Dream Machine is great because you can reboot Ubiquiti device to solve problems. Yes, so we can connect to Dream Machines as well. If you're curious, basically, there's two types of unified devices out there. There's devices like that we sell the access points that we are managing on our server that we host in the cloud. And for unified, that's called a controller. They sell other devices called Dream Machines. It hosts that server locally, and then we connect to your server. So Dream Machine lets you do a ton more configuration and control. It's really built for more people that are like tech savvy and want a lot of control over the internet. But if you do have a Dream Machine or other type of unified router or setup, we can connect to that as well. Now I have a bunch of email questions, so I'm going to just open an email account and we can talk about those too. Someone asked, will there be more email template options added to the campaign marketing eventually? Yes, and I'm happy to talk about this because we basically have two ways to build templates in StayFi. One is that we have our templates down here. These are our templates that are super fast to build. So we have newsletter, promo, which is the simplest, and upcoming availability. All of these let you use this very cool upcoming availability importer where you can import properties with dates and prices and things like that. So these are kind of like our quick build campaigns, but you still have, and we are going to add more of those to answer your question. And of course, we have the automation ones too. But there, under automation and templates, there are a ton more templates you can use to build out your emails. And I'll show you here. So if you go to choose a design here, then we have a billion templates that you can start with. If you go to all designs, you'll see all of them. And with these, you can select one and then you can use the drag and drop editor here to customize it for your brand. They also have this cool thing here, which I'll just show very quickly, which depending on your website, you may have varying success with. But they do have this one here, which is basically if you put in your website here, it will try to like build a template for you with your colors, with AI basically. Some varying success. Depending on how your website is built, it may like do a great job or not a great job, depending on how well it can like read your website. But yes, this will also try to create some newsletters for you. But so all of these templates are available for customization. And then of course, you can go ahead and also create ones from scratch. So there's tons of ways to build more existing templates. Also, once you've created one, so let's say you pick a design, create a one that you love, then you can always choose from a recent email and then edit that as well. You can kind of edit the ones you've already customized somewhat for the next one. And then same is true for automations. You can build automations that are much more complicated than the ones that we're setting up for you. So joins new lists, enter segment, date, anniversary of date, exit segments, subscriber activity. You can build on all of these. And then you can build multi-step journeys with a bunch of conditional statements and then like open emails and things like that. So the ones up here in the main are the simplest and fastest to build, but there's a ton more customization you do under automation and templates if you want to do something more advanced. But yes, we will be adding more campaigns down here as well in this kind of quick build area. Someone asked about StayFi email marketing performance and reporting. I definitely would go ahead and see like a test This is a test account, so it doesn't have great information in it because we haven't used it to send out emails. But there is actually a ton of data around open click rates, unsubscribe, delivery, bounce, and all that stuff in here, as well as subscriber activity. So if you haven't had a chance to look into the reporting for email, I would do that. Obviously, the one thing we don't have here, because it's challenging to do, is telling you who booked, right? I know that's very important, obviously. Definitely. To do that, there's kind of like two ways to get an idea of ROI from actual bookings. One is to use promo codes. That's very simple. If you create a promo code for an email in your PMS, you insert it into the emails, you'll be able to measure that. The other one is if you do have obviously you have a website, make sure to ask whoever set it up with Google Analytics to set up e-commerce reporting in Google Analytics. If you have e-commerce reporting in Google Analytics, then you can actually see revenue and bookings and tie it to the source of the traffic. And we append all of our emails with all the different UTM codes, is what it's called, to basically tell Google Analytics that we're sending it traffic. So if you have e-commerce reporting set up, then you can see who clicked through what email and whether they made a booking and for how much revenue. Not all property management software websites support e-commerce tracking. So if yours doesn't, I would bother them and request that they add that to their tool. All of the kind of like custom websites out there, whether you use Boostly or Realtek or ICMD or Crafted Stays, all of those typically have e-commerce built in and you'll get better reporting. Sadly, not all the PMS websites do. Someone asked, is there a way to embed a pop-up on our website with StayFi? And the answer is yes. So what you do is you go to subscribers here, and then you can either use an existing list or create a new list. I like to create a new list because basically, like if you create a pop-up on your website, so I made a new list called website form, then you may want to enroll them in a new automation. And that automation is going to be different than like checking in at the property, right? So if they send it on your website, you probably want to send them more information about making a prospective booking and not assuming that they're already a guest. So first thing, if you want to have it as a new list, then you put create a list up here. Then once you have a list here, which I called my website form to be very clear, you go to sign up form builder. And then again, depending on your website, you have different options. Um, so we have, yes, here it is. Look, they've changed this already. So we have different form types. Basically, we have sign up page that's like hosted separately. But the one that are more likely are embedded form and pop-up form. Pop-up forms have typically higher conversion rates, but usually embedded form is like on the bottom of your website or in the corner on the side. Pop-up form will have higher engagement, especially if you do a give get. All of these, basically you can dial here, and then it's going to give you code that you will paste into the header of your website. And so any PMS website or any website you're getting a third party to build, you should be able to, if you can't do it yourself, have them paste in the code. Also, if they already have a system for forms like Gravity Forms, we can also connect it to your account. Some people use like these third-party form widgets, right? And if they do, just email support at stayfi.com and we can connect those to StayFi. But if you're inserting a form from here, the pop-up works great. And then, of course, you can do a give get where you send them like a 5% off coupon. And then for the embedded form, basically, you can include styling or not. So basically, like if your website is set up correctly, like it could style the form for you essentially. Um, but again, whoever made your website and managed it should be able to help you with this. The one with styling is going to be like the most basic one that's very easy to paste in. And again, you will get the code once you create it, and then you'll be able to paste that into your website once you hit save here. But I definitely recommend the pop-up is a great option. And you don't have to worry about like placing it in your website, right? Because it will just appear there when someone's on your site. And then you can choose like how often you want to display it and after how long, etc. And pasting into the header is typically a very easy thing to do. When setting up the new welcome journey, why does it ask what email list to use? Is it only going to the new subscriber login? So yes, so when you set up this one here, Wi-Fi welcome, we are going to set it up with the Wi-Fi email. But if you're creating a welcome journey from here, it's asking you like which list do you want to send it to when someone joins, like this one here, because like you kind of how StayFi works, right? We have different lists based on where the data came from. So we have PMS lists, pre-arrival, Wi-Fi guests, and then maybe you have a form or when you set up yourself. We do that because we want to send a welcome automation that are maybe different because where people signed up, it dictates kind of like where they are in your life cycle of being a guest. So like Wi-Fi guests, they're there, right? So the welcome journey we send to Wi-Fi guests probably want to be different than the ones we send to PMS guests. PMS guests is one where it's kind of like every time we see an email in your PMS, we're importing it. That's typically for people that haven't stayed with you yet. So most people don't set up a welcome email for PMS guests. Same with pre-arrival. Again, it's like when we collect it. So it just depends, like based on how you collect it, you probably want to send different types of emails and different automations. Again, website form, that's a great one that I definitely would send an automation on, especially if you're sending them a coupon. So that's why when you set up like a new welcome journey through automation, you're going to pick which list you want to send people to, set which list you want to send the automation to. The Wi-Fi welcome, this just sends to the Wi-Fi list, obviously, because we want to greet people in property depending on where they're staying. Um, Yes, I know that someone asked a question about setting up templates for email funnels, and I have issues saving my templates. Um, it's hard to know exactly what's happening, so I would definitely get email support and get on a call with them and like share your screen, or you can use a tool like Loom. Loom is a free tool. It's actually great. Loom is a tool that you can download a Chrome extension, and then it will record your session, and then you can send us the video. So if you have Loom, you can take and with loom.com, you can take a video and then send it to us, or you can email support and show it to them what's happening there. Someone asked about recommend anyone that will do the marketing instead of creating them myself. We do. If you go to Switchback services in here, we do have this service called Switchback that you can pay. It starts at $4.99 a month to do like full service email marketing, a little bit on the pricier side. Um, if you want something cheaper, then I would just go to a tool like Upwork and then find somebody there that can help with email marketing. Switchback does a great job. You see the campaigns they send for our customers. So if you are, if you have a larger budget and you already have like a great list that you want to send to, they're definitely worthwhile inquiring about their full service here and seeing what they can do for you for email marketing. Someone asked about e-commerce tracking. Does OwnerRes use it? I don't know if OwnerRes uses it. I also know OwnerRes has like different ways to make websites, like your own hosted with the widget versus like them hosting it. So it's obviously going to depend a lot on how it's set up there. I'll write in here. Oops, I'll write. Basically, you want to. I'll put it in the chat here. Basically, Google Analytics is not sufficient. You want Google Analytics e-commerce tracking. And that will basically show you not just the traffic, but the bookings and revenue associated with that. And if they don't have it, I would ask them to add that to their roadmap because it will make their websites a lot more valuable. So definitely something to request if they don't have it already. So I would inquire with them. Someone asked, will they be recording to rewatch? Yes. In terms of creating a funnel or sales page for users who click through from the email message, what are your recommendations? I think you have a winter welcome campaign on trip at my home sales. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's different things you can do. Um, what obviously for someone to want to book direct, the value proposition has to be clear. So are you going to get a benefit? Are you releasing the inventory first here versus elsewhere? Are you giving them a discount? Is it always cheaper to book direct versus through an OTA, right? I think you really want to develop your reason, your value proposition, and also your reason to travel. So, like, what's happening in your area to make it appealing for people that want to return. You can also think about segmenting your list to make it more specific. So one great thing to do is to target people based on the property they stayed in, especially if you have like several very nice properties. So you can always create segments within your list here. So when you go to any random person in your Wi-Fi guest list, it's going to show you the property they stayed in. So like down here, that means that you can always create segments here based on which property they're associated with. That can be another great way because then you can send one-off campaigns or one-off, enroll them in one-off automations where you're promoting that specific property to come back there. Obviously, a lot just depends on your destination, the types of guests that travel there, how frequently, and then what the benefit is to book directly. So all of those things I would keep in mind. I also think if you're going to create an automation, like create a multi-step funnel and then enroll people in that, you can definitely think to send weekly. One thing I'd also would consider is in your automation, you don't need to send always nice templated emails. So if you want to add another step here, so we're going to add like a delay of 48 hours, let's say, and then I'm going to add another email. One thing to always consider when you're adding an email is go to plain text and send a plain text email or transactional. They might have some plain text email like this one here. Plain text emails perform really well, especially when you write a plain text email from the first person and then you change the sending email and the name to your email or whoever can actually respond to emails. Plain text emails do great. So don't shy away from plain text emails, Matthew, and say like, hey, first name, this is Matthew. I manage the blah 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 cottage or blah 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 property management. Like I know you stayed with us at insert the property name here before. We'd always love to have guests stay with us come back and we can give you a special deal or whatever it is. Plain text emails are also great because if someone has Gmail, which most people do, they typically have like the main folder, promotions folder, and some other folders sometimes, but promotions is the main one. Emails that have a lot of images or promotional text tend to go into the promotions folder and those have a lower open rate in the main folder. Doing a plain text email will also perform really well because they typically always go into the main folder instead of the promotions folder because there's no images. So I also would think about sending your emails from multiple voices or personas. So you can send an email from the brand with images and then send a first person email as if you're like a salesperson or the host or whatever it happens to be, inviting that person to come back or letting them know about a property or news or whatever it is. And those will also have very high engagement rates. And often people will just write you back directly to book again with you. Um, now I'm getting a lot more questions. This is inspiring a lot more. Um, okay. How can we offer free resources on email and capture who signs up for those so we can segment and create personalized campaigns for them to nurture them? There's probably a lot of different ways to do this. Um, One thing is you could create like another subscriber list where then you have a sign up form for like you love fishing, right? And then as you put here, so you can create like a fishing sign up form, send people to that form. So like one of these forms here is a sign up page, which is even just hosted here. So you can create a sign up page and people that do that. Um, I really think segmentation only makes sense like when your list gets to a certain size. But could definitely be a valuable way to do that. The other thing is like if you're collecting this information another way, you can always go and take a CSV and upload it to one of these lists. And when you add a new subscriber to do a file, you can have it so like, let's say those a lot of those emails already exist here. You're getting this information somewhere else. It will edit these. It won't like create duplicate emails in your list. It will basically add whatever new column you want to add. You can add a new custom field here. And then you see add custom field here. You could add whatever that is here, a new text field. Then you can upload a CSV if you have all that information there, and where then you're adding that new piece of data to all of the relevant guests already in your list, and it won't like create duplicates. So you can definitely do that in your form. You could have the data somewhere else and add it here. So there's different ways to do that, but it's definitely possible. Um, then I have two questions about like conversion rates and like number of direct bookings per user. Um, it's very, to be totally frank, it's extremely variable because a lot depends on destination type and types of traveler and who are the types of people that are visiting there. So, we have people who their first email will get, 3 to 5 bookings, and we have other people who after a few months they get their first emails and then they start seeing their first bookings from sending emails and then they start seeing more coming in. Obviously some destinations are just more prone to repeat traffic than others, and also referrals is another one. So how do you incentivize your guests to refer other people to stay with you, which I think is really important. um, so obviously it's very dependent on where you're operating, but we definitely see, I think the one thing to keep in mind is if you are in a destination with many people that are in like in more of an annual travel, like this could be more like the Hawaii, some ski destinations where you have people come there once a year. The stay, anniversary, and post departure ones are, I'd say, key, crucial, especially post departure. A very successful language can be like secure your stay for next year. That can be very valuable, incentivize people to book for next year. Also, stay anniversary. The default is 10 months. You can always edit this after you build it. This is another big one to make sure that like 8 months, 9 months, 10 months out for the last day, you're reminding them to come back and rebook with you directly. Um, it ranges. We've had customers that will go from, 2% of the direct bookings to like maybe 8% of their bookings direct after a year. We have people that are getting to 30% after a year. So the range is pretty big and a lot depends on types of properties, types of guests, and then kind of like what is normal for your destination. I will just preview because it's coming soon-ish. A new optional product that we're going to be launching that I'm really excited about that you'll probably have seen in your account called Stay Finder. This is really to go after this issue of, people don't come back to my destination that often. So how can I have more people discover my direct book website? And that's what State Finder is being built to solve. So this is totally optional. So you do not need to opt in. So if you want to, you can opt in. So I'll explain what Stay Finder is really quickly. Obviously, we'll have a lot more information in the future about this, but Stay Finder will be a meta search. So essentially a website where you can search in a destination. We will return there all of the listings that we can match between Airbnb and direct booking websites. And we will show all the listings where you can book directly for less than you can on Airbnb. And then obviously, if you're an opted-in partner of StayFinder, you'll be preferenced in these results. So this is about getting guests that haven't stayed with you to find you and discover you directly and see the benefit from having a cheaper price. And then when you opt in, what will happen is addition to you getting the rights to email market, Stay Finder will also get access to market to this guest. And then we will market to this list in order for people to go to Stay Finder, to download our Chrome extension, which will show them the same type of advantage, to educate more people about booking direct, and then of course finding great property managers and hosts that are using this product. So basically, in exchange for us getting the right to email to your guests, we will get your listings hopefully in front of hundreds of thousands of people. And even though Stay Finder is not live yet, and it's coming in Q4, and we're building it right now, basically we're already building the list. So if you opt into Stay Finder, we will send your guest one email, I think around like 6 hours post login, basically saying, this is what Stay Finder is, it's coming soon. And we already have hundreds of PMs opted in and like over, I think already 15,000 guest emails in the program, and it's growing by like thousands a day. So essentially, once StayFinder launches, we're going to be sending traffic to the site so that they can discover more brands, especially StayFi brands, to book with directly. And that's definitely going to be a big initiative to basically, obviously your guests love you. They're going to want to stay back and book with you. But now we're going to help that guest find other great brands to book with when they want to travel other places. Someone asked about dynamic content in emails. I will be more than happy to show you how to add those. So I'll just go into the template builder here. So even when you use those like StayFi templates I showed earlier, like the quick ones, it will always exit you into this template builder. So you can make more adjustments at the end. So let me show you quickly how to do this. So your editor will look like this right at the end. You can see here, this is actually like what it looks like as an example. But if you go to insert here, you will see a personalization, and then you will see like first name, last name, full name. So you will see those options here. Now, one of the things that's a little confusing is once you're like associating basically once you're like sending the template to a certain list, you actually will see more options because it's a little confusing, but you can imagine like until we know the list you're sending it to, we can't tell you which additional fields are available. So like once I'm in the process of sending it to a specific list, you'll actually see this custom fields here, and then you'll see like the different lists here, and then you can fill in these different fields. So if you're sending it to your Wi-Fi guests, you can put in the property here, which will be the property name, and then always have fallback in case that's empty. So when you're actually going to send a campaign, you can also send these custom ones. So we have always a first name up here. So you ask for. It's very simple. It looks like this. But then for this other area here, if you want to send some of that other information, you can go to Wi-Fi guests, which would be the most often one, and send things. And this is even links to like the homepage, links to your guidebook, links to your direct booking website URL. So all that stuff is available here as well. And if you never checked it out, we also have this little AI writer tool here, which is kind of like a mini little chat GPT you can use here as well to help you write copy. But that works pretty well. So hopefully that's helpful. So just look for insert, and then you can see personalization for the basic stuff, and then custom fields for all this, the very like specific list related items here. Uh, I've used someone else that just white label HubSpot. No, it's actually, if you see up here, it's white label Campaign Monitor. Like we're not hiding anything from you. So basically the templates and the automation tool and like the sending technology behind the email tool is Campaign Monitor. And you actually get a Campaign Monitor account for cheaper than it would be if you went to Campaign Monitor directly. So we offer you basically a discounted Campaign Monitor account. But then all of this stuff up here, this is all our custom stuff built on top of Campaign Monitor. So you can think of our email marketing tool as like a combination of a lot of custom tools and templates and workflows, automations, and then Campaign Monitor is kind of the stuff in the background that's doing all the sending, and then of course you have access to all the templates that they have and the automations that they have. So it's a mixture of both things, of both Campaign Monitor and StayFi, and that's kind of our unique proprietary blend of the two things, where we add all these additional vacation rental specific tools on top of it. But then of course we still have the power and support and reliability of an email marketing tool that's used by, tens of thousands of people. Uh, so someone would like to know, can we track conversions for all customers? Yeah, so that's something we're working on, is because obviously we have integrations with all these property management software. We have access to a lot of booking data. So definitely in the future, we're going to have more ways to import and then help characterize that booking data in an actionable way that will show you more about which bookings are coming back directly and which ones hopefully are attributed to StayFi in those cases. So yes, it is something that we want to do in the future. Someone asked about if we have like modern designs, automation, segmentation, detailed analytics. Yes. So like I said before, everything in Campaign Monitor, which is like a very advanced email marketing tool, is available to you. So under automations, you have like the full suite of Campaign Monitor's tools. Under subscriber segmentation, the same. Under templates, you have all of their templates. And of course, you have our vacation rental stuff built on top of it, and like where we access and collect the data as well is a super important part of that. But yeah, so you can definitely use this tooling for other types of use cases outside of vacation rentals, because we have all the Campaign Monitor things in here as well. And then even with templates, like if the designs are not working for you, you can even upload um, custom HTML. So you can really make it whatever you want. And then of course, we do not prohibit you from going outside of StayFi email and using whatever tool you want for email marketing too, right? So I know there are some very cool new email marketing tools out there. And if you want to connect to those, we can either do direct integration, and then 99% of the time, they always have a Zapier integration. So we can always send the data to wherever you would like. And we are an open platform in that way, where we don't want to prohibit you from working with any other tools that work well for your business. So of course, you can go ahead and do that. Someone asked if we have any plans for direct booking websites ourselves. No, something we've thought about, but not yet. But there are a ton of great tools out there. There are some newer ones that I also really like. I have an example here, like Crafted Stays. And do we have one more in here? But yes, there's a few of these. You can check your PMS marketplace to see like which ones integrate with you. I'd say like there are great website builders, great website companies like Realtek and IC&D and Boostly that are going to build you more of like a custom website, right? But those are definitely way more expensive. The great thing about a tool like Crafted Stays is, especially if you're smaller or in a bit more of a budget, um, then this is more just like a much better template that connects to your vacation rental PMS, and builds you a much more pretty website that's also that you can just like drag and drop and quickly edit, and you don't have like an agency building it. So it's just like a much cheaper and faster way to get to the result that you want. especially if you don't have the budget for, a real tech or ICD websites, which are fantastic. So all of our bigger customers, like 100 units plus, they typically have an ICND or real tech website. But then tools like Crafted Saves have made these much better websites, better than PMS websites, is in most cases more accessible to more people. So definitely take a look at. I know there's a few others which I don't remember the name, but if you go into your PMS marketplace and go under like website tools or website builders, you can see kind of like what are the lower cost builders that can do a great job and get you what you want. And someone asked about SMS marketing. Yeah, so in StayFi, we have SMS marketing. The typical things that you're sending through SMS marketing are a welcome text. Through the welcome text, I definitely recommend, which is our default one, sending the home page. And I think they're asking about like the merge fields. So these are the merge fields that are available in all your text. You can see here names, property group, listing URL, guidebook URL, homepage URL, Viator URL, host code URL. All of those you can insert. Welcome text message, definitely a great way, especially if you do upsells like late checkout on your homepage. You want to put those here. We have rate and review. And then you can also send group text. Um, Under group text, we did add this, which I don't think we really announced yet, so we should probably do that. But now you can actually send group text based on the properties guests stayed in the past. Before basically it was like all or nothing. This is a great feature. It will cost less because obviously you use credits, but for text now, you can text people. So this is really cool. Like if you, let's say this Victorian house had a cancellation or is available coming up for a coming up weekend, you can text just the people that stayed there before that it's available to book, and it'll be less expensive because you're using less credits. So definitely, we definitely should announce this, as I think we just kind of rolled it out without telling anyone. So, we'll definitely do another text marketing webinar in the future, but just everyone give you a heads up on that. Um, yes, how many emails will StayFi share with our email address of the week? Yes, not that many. So they're probably asking about StayFinder. Yes, so StayFinder, one of the key things that we're going to be rolling out, and obviously this is still coming out in the future, so like nothing is uh, set in stone. No, we do not want to spam your audience, and we're very respectful of the fact that like you want to email them too, and like we want you to do that. Obviously, I would say one nice thing, like even in the one email that we send, we actually promote you. So we are like, hey, Stay Finder will let you find trusted people, and then also like, hey, if you want to book this property again for less, go to this company's website, right? Do we get a bonus if guest book of the properties? Not yet. That's something we're thinking about in the future. Right now, the state finder will be like completely free, so nobody will be charged anything to do anything in there. And we really want to get traction before we charge anyone for anything. And how we're going to monetize state finder in the future, we don't know. But because it's meta search, right? We don't have the booking happening on our website. What's going to happen is if they click the link, they're going to be sent to your website to complete the booking. So we're not handling, so meta search, that's like kayak, right? So you think of, or Trivago, you go to the website, it shows you the comparison, but then you go to the actual website to complete the transaction. And that will be the same for StayFinder, which obviously will have more details. I don't imagine we're going to be sending emails once or twice a month. Also key for this is we're really going to push a Chrome extension that basically when someone's on Airbnb and eventually Vrbo and they go to a listing where we have better pricing directly, it will like pop up. I don't know if you've ever used like Rakuten, like that similar experience of, oh, you can book this for less here, or you can buy this item for less here. That way you can, once someone has the Chrome extension, we don't have to be as reliant on emails because whenever they're on Airbnb, it will hopefully remind them to book directly. Yes, so StayFinder is so one, someone asked about like how to make sure that you're not sharing data with other platforms or being sold. So StayFinder again is totally optional. You do not have to do it if you don't want to share your emails with us. I totally understand why some people won't want to do that. So no, you do not, it's not opted in automatically. You have to go to this page and opt in, and obviously it hasn't even launched yet. This is premature. Right now, in the terms and conditions of StayFi, it says that you own the data unless if you opt in to share with other people. And with this, you're just opting in to share with StayFinder, not anybody else. So even in this case, if you opt into StayFinder, your guests are only going to hear from StayFinder. and obviously we'll be respectful of not spamming them. Also, if someone opts out of StayFinder email, it does not impact your opt-in, right? So these are completely separate programs from your program. So if they don't want StayFinder emails, they're still going to get your emails, right? So don't worry about that. But yeah, so even in the case of StayFinder, you're just opting into StayFinder, emailing your guests at a respectful cadence. And still, we don't have the rights as StayFi or StayFinder to sell that data to or share it with anybody else, right? So you own the data. If you opt in to share it with StayFinder, you're opting it just to share it with StayFinder, and that's the only person that's going to use it in that case or entity. So hopefully that's explanatory. We already see support tickets with people being like, I don't want to share my data. I'm like, we understand. That's why it's an opt-in, and you have to go to this page and decide this is something that you want to do. But we're hoping, it's an exchange where you're giving us some data, but in return, you're going to get that much more exposure to, you know, tens of thousands and eventually hundreds of thousands, and even soon millions of guests that have stayed with other partners, which will just be, I think, give you a huge lift um, compared to what you had before, hopefully. And that's the goal. We want to help everybody do better with direct bookings, because the reality is your guests are going to go look on Airbnb anyways, right? So they're going to look at your competition. So why not just help them look at you and your competition in the place where we're pushing direct bookings instead of OTA bookings? I love all of the questions, and it looks like we're 2 minutes away from the end of the time, which is amazing. Obviously, StayFi Express, any issues you have there, please email support@stayfi.com. Um, Feel free to reach out to my email as well if you ever have anything else you want to share with me or issues that you're having. I definitely would love to hear from you, good or bad or otherwise. So I put that into the chat. And again, thanks everybody. And this will be posted on YouTube in the next few days, along with all our other sessions. So you can always go back and watch anything from email to text to Express to Wi-Fi, whatever you want. It will be there. And yeah, thanks again for attending, and hope to see everybody soon. Thanks again.